Welcome back, TBC. It's been a bit of a while, hasn't it? Because, the boys have been doing fucking live shows and shit now. Whoa, what? We've got a good guest for you today. He's known for his optimized mindset. It's Mr. Tate Reid, true example of someone who helps others employ military grade systems so that they can get better within themselves. Welcome to the Trouble Boys Club, Tate. How are you doing, mate?
Cheers, mate. Yeah, doing good. Thanks. Glad to be here.
Nice, mate. So yeah, just to jump on what Ryan said, thank you so much for agreeing to join us today. It's a pleasure to have you here. I think we just wanted to start things off by just asking you about your journey, really, and being in the Marine and stuff like that, and just kind of like what led you down that path, really.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, basically, ever since I was a kid, I was always that a kid who just like ran around the forest with a stick as a gun and climbing trees and just going out doing like Commando shit and sneaking up on my dad and like trying to sort of pretend I was Rambo. Um, and then as I sort of got older, went through school and all these different things. Uh, I went down different paths, but that niggle, that itch was always in my mind. And obviously, when I was younger, sort of teenage years, there was Afghans going on, so it's like really sort of in the news. And then yeah, eventually I got to a point where I thought, you know what, I'm just gonna go for it. I'm just gonna give it a shot. Got nothing else going for me, so I'm gonna dive headfirst into that. Um, and yeah, that was it. I wasn't I was never sort of massively, what do you say, athletically gifted. I was just, I was on sports teams and that. I was very competitive, but I just thought, yeah, gotta go for it and throw my hat in the ring.
Yeah, I think when this is a proper stupid question, but I don't like know a shitload about that kind of field. Say that you're in. So I know you obviously have that the army, don't you? And then the Marines, and then is Marines. And again, I apologize, and you're probably gonna hate that I'm gonna say this. Is Marines the water one, like submarines and shit like
Yeah,
that?
yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. But in broad terms, Marines is the war one. Yeah.
The water one. So did you always know you wanted to be a Marine, or did you kind of do army first and then there's like a certain path?
Well, I've always been the sort of the mindset if I'm going to do something, I'm going to like, try and be the best. And I'm sure there's going to be thousands of cat badges out there that are going to say, "Well, Marines ain't shit." But as far as I'm concerned, Marines at the time and probably still to this day are the best, especially what we do. And there's also the longest and toughest training in NATO. So I sort of heard that and I was like, well, I'm very competitive. I'm up for a challenge. I want to be the best. They're the best. I'm going to go for them. Um, so yeah, it was between them and the paras for me. But then I grew up around Colchester, which is quite a heavy para base, and going out around paras, I thought I don't want anything to do with you lot, so I'll go the Marines instead.
Yeah.
No, that's mid that, Tate. What's the sort of like? Is it like a 32-week training regime to qualify as a Marine? And are you tested both like mentally, physically, everything in terms of like to make sure that you have the prepared mindset for what's going to come in the field?
Yeah, pretty much. So it's I think it's yeah, they've sort of upped it now to 34 weeks. Um, but yeah, so it's a very long time in training, and throughout the entire time, yeah, you are tested in pretty much all aspects, both mentally and physically, and seeing how resilient you are, how you can bounce back from failures, how good you are at just dealing with setbacks, um, and that's just a general. Obviously, you have your exercises, and they're spread throughout the 32 weeks it was when I was doing it, and it starts off from everything from first exercise is an overnight on camp, just camping basically, just getting used to living how we should in the field. You go to the tank, you go jump in the tank, which is like a big freezing cold pool of water, jump in that, get completely wet, and then you learn how to change from wet clothes to dry clothes, sleep in your dry clothes, and then in the morning get changed back into your wet clothes, that's your working clothes. So that's like Billy Basics first exercise. And then by the end of it, on final X, you're yomping miles over Dartmoor, you're carrying out attacks, you're all singing, all dancing. Basically, that's your final tick in the box to say, yeah, this bloke's good to go out on operations. But in between that time, in between that like that 30 odd weeks from learning how to camp to being steely-eyed dealer of death, there's loads of stuff that's going on, and you're periodically just learning and being tested. And that can, like you said, that's the physical side and the soldiering skills, but also there's like day to day just relentless shit that you have to deal with, and that's where the mental resilience really comes into effect. Are you mentally strong enough to deal with what we're going to put you through and not break from it? Just deal with it and crack on. So yeah, it could be things like going out. If you leave your locker unlocked, which happens quite a lot because you're in such a panic, so you go out, you go to do your daily stuff, and then you come back, you left your locker unlocked, so all your stuff is now piled up, soaking wet, loads of like washing up stuff chucked on it, and now you got to go wash it, dry it, iron it, fold it, put it all back to, that's sort of basic. You could be doing room changes, which is where they come in and say, right, you're now living up there, you're now living over there, and they'll do that all night up until about 2 o'clock in the morning, and then they'll say, right, by the morning, we want you all back in your original spaces, and you got a kit inspection at like 5 o'clock in the morning. So you're not getting any sleep that night. Basically, it's just messing with you, with you around. And that's all. Most of them, at least, are all planned as part of the training. So it's just all those little things in there. I'd say the mental tests are not necessarily formal tests; they're just daily grind. And then the physical tests are your gym tests, your assault course tests, your exercise, your soldiering skills. That's like the formal testing. But yeah, the thing that really builds that mindset and tests if you got it is that just day to day, can you deal with it?
Yeah, definitely. I was going to say, when you was talking about them waking you up and getting you switching rooms and shit at daft o'clock in the morning, I bet that built you up for when you actually had your son. And then you were just up all through the night and you're like, this is a piece of business.
Yeah. Yeah. It's like, I'm pretty used to this. So yeah, that wasn't actually too bad when I was with my boy. I was actually the one getting up most of the nights, just cracking on with it.
Doing the water feeds.
The water feed, the cat feed.
Yeah, no milk for you, boy.
Oh no, that's mad, Tate. So what would you say was the hardest lesson then that you learned while you were doing your training? Have you got like one physical and then one mental like example that you can sort of tell us where you had the setback and what you did to sort of bounce back from it, what you told yourself in your mind that like, I'm not going to quit or this isn't going to beat me?
Yeah, so I suppose the biggest setback was, for me, it was a mental setback. Well, physical in the aspect of like I had a fractured femur, so that put me out 6 months. So that was like my physical setback, I suppose. But that led into quite a massive sort of like a long mental struggle, where obviously I'm with, I think it was week 15, week 14, and all my mates that I've been training with up to that point were all in the same troop. You get to know each other like amazingly well. And then that happened, and I was pulled out of training. Obviously, I got heal my leg, do the rehab, and they just carried on. Obviously, and then watching them carry on and do the exercises that I've got would have coming up, and passing them, getting into commando phase, getting their green berets. I was watching that, and I still was stuck at week 15, waiting to come out and back into mainstream training. And it's like really hard for me to deal with at the time because I was like obviously thinking all those doubts start creeping in. Am I gonna pass it? Am I gonna pass that exercise? Am I gonna make it? You haven't really got anywhere else to go when you're sat there waiting for an injury to heal. It's just you just sat there with your thoughts, and it can be quite a lonely sort of place, the recovery troops, because everyone's in the same boat, trying to being pulled out of training and getting healed and going back into mainstream training. So you never really bond too much with people because they're just coming back and forth all the time. I'd say that was having to deal with that, which was 6 months. I was out of training for, obviously still at the training centre, So still around it all, but just daily, every day, waking up, going to the rehab instructors, trying to heal as best I can, and then once I had healed, building my strength back up. Obviously, because I hadn't been on my leg walking properly for however many months.
That's great.
So yeah, I learned quite a lot in that time though. And one of the big things that probably the biggest lesson I took from it was just not to compare myself to anyone else who's in training. Because when on my very first day of training, I rocked up and there's all these like super muscly, like 6'5". Like if you pictured a Marine, you'd be like, that's the bloke. He's like 6'5", muscly. He's like, yeah, I've done like 3 Ironmans. I'm like, all right, fucking hell, I've like done none of that. And it's sort of the entire way. I was like, oh, am I as strong as him? Am I going to make it? Is he going to do it? Am I better than him? Is all those comparisons coming in? And then once I got injured, I was just like, right. So probably overwhelmed by it, like trying to compare myself to everyone who's passing out and getting their green berets. And I thought, you know what? Like, fuck everyone else. I'm just going to like get myself through this. And so that was probably the biggest lesson. And once I made that switch, like mentally, it just like changed the whole thing. And even like to this day, that's probably one of the biggest lessons I've taken with me. Just don't compare myself to whoever's doing like really well for themselves or whoever's doing, better than me. I just think like I'm on this path and I just compare myself to myself really.
Yeah, that's it must be so hard to kind of develop that mentality. And I was going to kind of say, like, going into the Marines, you kind of associate a lot of people going into it as, having gone through some kind of traumas or some really difficult times, to build up that resilience. Do you find that most people that go into it kind of are like that? Or would you say you kind of go into it and then you support each other through it? Because that must have been difficult for you because, like you said, the training course itself is what, 8-9 months. I know you said it in weeks, but it's about 8-9 months, and then you're
Yeah.
obviously out for 6 months. Do you know what I mean? Like,
Yeah.
it
Yeah.
must have been great. So, like, when you finally went back to it, was there like new people doing the training, and you're kind of have to integrate with like new people and stuff like that?
Yeah. Yeah. Exactly that. So yeah, I wouldn't necessarily say that you need to have experienced it, like any sort of trauma or anything to build that resiliency beforehand. I mean, there are some people that have had like a really tough lives. I mean, there was one bloke I was in training with who lived on the street for a period of his life, and so when we're doing the wet and dry routine, he was happy as Larry, and we're like
Yeah.
fucking hell, why are you so? This is the worst part about it. Why are you so happy? He's like, well, at least I've got one pair of dry clothes to get into, and he said just 2 wet clothes. I was like, that puts things in perspective.
It does,
But
definitely.
so it's like you have that, but then you also have people that have had like great life, and they're just decided like they've had nothing go wrong for them in their lives, and they just think, you know what, I fancy a challenge, and there's all walks of life, and that's sort of the best thing about it that I've found, especially having passed out and got my green beret. It's a leveler. No one cares where you came from, what's happened to you in your life, what like race, creed, religion. No one gives a shit. If you got that green beret, you passed the same test as I have. I passed the same test as
Yeah.
you have. It's a great leveler. Um, and over the time, everyone knows you've got this resilience because you've had to put up with the same stuff that I've had to put up with, or I've put up with the same stuff that you've put up with. So it's you sort of have that mutual respect for each other. But there are all walks of life. Like every single walk of life is there. Um, so yeah, I wouldn't necessarily say that you have to have experienced some sort of trauma. You sort of learn that resiliency, and it gets beaten into you a bit as you go along. Um, and also the other aspect of it, like you pointed out, is massively like a team thing. You,
Yeah.
that's what gets you through. You can't really get through it on your own. You need to bond with the lads there, and they'll get you through it. When you're having tough times, they'll pick you up and help you through it. And when they're having tough times, you just you return the favor. And so when I did go back into after my injury, when I did go back into mainstream training, that was it. I just straight back in, and again started forming friendships. And it's always when that first exercise, when you're back into a troop, it's they're sort of looking at you. How good are you? Can you sort of fit into our dynamic, into our section, into our troop? And also, every weekend you'd go out in town and go for a drink, and that always helps gel it even more. But you do get, obviously, you're living with each other, you're training with each other, you're going out, you're always together, so those bonds form rapidly. And also, the biggest thing as well, you're sharing hardship. So those 2 a.m. wake up calls that we were talking about. Yeah, my mate next to me's experienced the exact same thing, and then at the end of it, we can have a laugh. At the weekend, when we're like, "Fucking hell, that was a tough week," they can have a laugh about it. But like, yeah, do you remember when they fucking woke us up banging pans, and I walked into our room at like 3 o'clock in the morning banging pans, and like that we had a kit muster, or when we're doing a mud run, and all these different things that you can laugh about in hindsight. But it is you're with the lads.
Yeah, no, that was kind of how I was like expecting it to be, kind of like that, family bond kind of situation where you kind of get each other through it and all stuff like that. So I was going to
Yeah,
say, are
massively.
you still in the Marines then? Because I know you said you was in it for 9 years. Like, so are you no longer in it? Or?
No, so I left in January of this year, and then retrained as a electrician. So I'm an electrician now.
Nice. So
Alongside,
I was going to say, what's that change kind of been like for you, going from the extremes of that to being an electrician? I'd imagine the very fucking opposite end of the scale.
Yeah. Yeah, it is. It is like a massive adjustment. I'm not gonna lie. I'm not gonna sugarcoat it for any forces that are listening. Like, it's a massive, shock to the system. And there's certain things like I was chatting to one of my mates the other day. He's also left, and I said like, you don't like we are just different. I don't know. I can't explain it, but it's just like we're just different. Like
Yeah.
the things that it's almost like you're trying to bond with people that like you haven't had that shared hardship. You're not going towards the same goal. You're not, you're not really. You haven't got much in common. Like say the lads I work with now. I mean, great lads. I get on with all of them, but I always just think like we're not the same person. Whereas say in the Marines, everyone is the exact same person. Like,
Yeah.
to a T, everyone is the exact same person. So you can get on with it like yourself all day long. But then you come out and you go to civvies are just a different breed, and it takes some getting used to. But then it's massive. It sort of throws the onus on me, being like, well, I'm the different one here. So like, it's not like everyone else is wrong. It's like I'm the different one. So it throws that back onto yourself. But it is a tough change. But also there is a freedom to it. I'm like 30. 4.
40
34.
pros, and he was like, I'm 30. I was like, shit, have we lost
Yeah.
connection?
No, just momentarily forgot my own age. Yeah, so I'm 34 now. I've got a 2-year-old boy. It's my priorities massively changed, and as soon as my boy was born, I was like, I can't be going away all the time. It's just not. I don't want to have that sort of relationship with him. Whereas when I was in my 20s and single, was like, this is the best thing ever. I'm with the mates, and I'm going around the world. It's class. So as you get older, and my priorities changed, I still now think to myself, it's the right decision to have done. With the freedoms and getting to see my boy all the time. But I do miss that camaraderie that comes with being around the lads. That's the thing I miss the most is the lads, and that's the hardest thing to get used to because, I mean, as I'm sure you two are well aware, men just don't really have much of a male friendship group anymore. We sort of, as a sort of society, lost that. Whereas I had that with my work. I worked with my friends. I lived with my friends. I went out with my friends. Whereas now I've got to build that male group of friends up myself. Whereas before it was just ready made for me. It's just here's everyone who's exactly like you, good to go. Whereas now I've got to build that myself. So that's the biggest change, I'd say.
Yeah, I can imagine that. It must be weird, like you said, them group of mates that you've got so much in common with, and then coming out and then like you said, you're just all totally different. And like you said, you've been used to that for fucking 9 years, which is such a long time. It must be so
Yeah.
mad, like stepping out.
Yeah.
Yeah. I've got another question. So
Yeah.
you know, as much as like being a Marine and stuff can teach you like lessons about life and how to cope with things, strategies, different mindset and stuff. What are some lessons that you taken from fatherhood, maybe in like the early stages or just throughout this 2 years of being one? Have there been any lessons in that you've sort of like taken that sort of the Marines couldn't have taught you?
Yeah, I would. Yeah, that's a good question actually. I'd say the biggest one for me is it's probably softened me a little bit. You know, where I was in my 20s and I was just in the Marines, I was just very matter of fact, and I still am a little bit, a sort of bit pig-headed like that. But the having a kid has definitely softened me massively, and it's hard to describe. I mean, you're both parents, so you'll know exactly what it is. But like it's a part of you that I wasn't aware that I needed. You know, when I didn't have a kid, I was like, I don't, yeah, I'm fine. But as soon as I had a boy, you know, I've just gone. Fucking hell! I didn't realize this was missing. We didn't realize like this massive fucking tiny little man has just got such a grip of my life, and it's a great little. It's quite a humbling thing, but it's hard to describe other than it's a part of my life or something that was missing in my life that I didn't realize was missing in my life. If that makes, I mean, that might make sense to you too because you're both
definitely.
dads, but I don't know if that might not make sense to anyone who isn't a dad.
No, it completely does. And like, I fully agree. Like, I always find it mental when I'm in work and I'm speaking to people that don't have kids. And do you know, like when they go like, "Oh, how was your weekend?" and they'll be like, "Oh, fucking slept until like 12 o'clock, and then I just fucking watch films all day, and then ate burgers all night and chill." I'm like, "How do you go about your life like that?" Like, I could no longer imagine not having a child, and like as well, like, being split up from the missus and stuff like that, and having to do it kind of all on your own, you know, when you do have your child and stuff, I feel like it's so much fucking harder as well. Do you know, not like having someone to lean on and do it together. Yeah. Like going back to that Marine mentality of like helping each other through it. It's similar with parenting. I think like it's so nice to have someone to do it with and to share that journey with. Like when you're on your own, it's so hard, but at the same time, it's so fucking rewarding. Do you know, like you said before, when you do put your little boy to bed and stuff like that, and then you know you sit down and you fucking rest, and do you know what I mean? Like I look forward to like obviously having a child, but I also look forward to my days off as well because it's tiring, man. Like I always say, it's so fucking tiring.
Yeah, it is massively tiring. I mean, it's probably one of the hardest things I've done. Probably mentally, is it pushes you to your limits, and that's having gone through 32 weeks of like just mental torment. I've gone through like 2 years of mental torment, but it's yeah, it's definitely it's definitely tough on your own. But it's one of them like even you know when you sat there at what you know whatever time in the morning, just trying to get them back to sleep or try you know they're just crying or won't stop crying, and as soon as I've just found out you can be at your wit's end, and then as soon as they like turn around and say like, "Oh, daddy," or "I want to play with you," or like have that smile on their face, it's
Yeah,
just like instant, like it's just gone. It's just
it's
like, that's it. Yeah, I forget everything. I forgive you. Don't worry about it. And it's and I get lads at work that they say like, "Oh yeah, no, I don't want kids." And every time I hear that, I just think like you are missing out on like the best thing. It's like, yeah, I talk to them like, oh, what you been up to this weekend? Oh, I was, you know, down at A&E with my boy, or like, you know, my boys just like thrown up all over me last night, and I didn't get much sleep, and now I'm at work at like 6 o'clock in the morning, and they're like, oh, that sounds shit. I'm like, yeah, but you're hearing that side of it. You're not understanding like all the amazing stuff that like, comes with it, and you don't understand that just seeing their face somehow makes your day better. You know, it's like when people say to me, "Oh yeah, I don't want kids," I almost feel sorry for them. So I just think you're missing out on probably like the best part of life.
yeah, I know what you mean, definitely. But like at the same time, I just think not everyone's fucking wired. Like us in that
Yeah.
same breath. Do you know what I mean? Though, like you do very much seem similar to us in the sense like you've changed your fucking career and shit for your son. Do you know what I mean? You do it all, and you seem like a very selfless person. And like, not everyone's like that. Some people out there are fucking selfish and just put themselves first, and like they don't want
Yeah.
kids because they just want their own like selfish ass lives. Do you know what I mean? It's
Yeah.
meant.
But in another way to sort
Yeah.
of like play devil's advocate on that, are they being sort of so self-aware of their selfishness that they know that having a kid,
Yeah.
they'll fucking screw up that kid, or they won't be all in for that kid? So they're sort of doing that kid a favor that doesn't fucking exist yet.
I mean, yeah, you do raise a good point. To be fair, my brother, he doesn't want kids. I mean, he's 36 or 37 now, and he said from like since we were kids, he's like, no, I don't ever want kids. And I spoke to him the other day about it. I was like, how comes like you don't want kids? So I understand you see me, and it's like you see me struggling, but you don't see how amazing it is as well. And he actually said, you know what, if I had a kid, I would want to give it such a good life. I wouldn't want to struggle. I wouldn't want to struggle myself. I wouldn't want my kid to struggle. I wouldn't want to put them through that. So unless I can provide them with the best life I can possibly imagine, which I can't, then I don't want kids. And I was like, you know what? Fair enough. I see your point. I still think you're wrong, but I see your point. But it is that, I suppose, that sort of self-awareness to go, you know what, I want, I can't provide as much as I want to provide, so, or I'm not
Yeah.
at that point yet, yeah.
Yeah.
So I suppose there is two sides to each thing.
Some people just don't want kids, do they? Like, I suppose, like you said, like I knew from like as young as possible.
Yeah,
Like, I
I
always
think
wanted a kid.
I think about 12 maybe.
Yeah.
I think the reason I wanted kids when I was so young is because I wanted to fix my own childhood. I was like, when I have a kid, I'm not going to do X, or I'm going to make sure my kid does that. And then when you eventually have kids and you are young and you've not sorted your shit out prior to that, when you have the kid that everything that you've not dealt with just comes fucking flooding to the surface, and you sort of
Yeah, massively.
you realize, oh my god, I'm trying to fix something that sort of that I've not even fixed within myself, and I'm
Yeah.
going to try and fix it whilst learning the hardest job in the world, which is raising a child. And
Yeah,
it can fuck you when you're trying to
yeah.
fix something exterior when firstly it should have been done on the interior and then been like whole and then go, right, I'm ready now kind of thing. I think a lot of people might fall into that trap or be able to relate to that sort of mentality of why you wanted thinking about kids so young.
Drove me to do like the whole optimized man thing, because I was like, right, these are where I'm lacking. These are the sort of areas that I need to improve on. And to be, yeah, you got this little human who's growing up watching you and taking everything in, and you're like, I need to make sure I'm the best possible role model for you, and that means I need to look at um, my own weaknesses. Understand where I've got my strengths and where I can highlight them, but also address my own weaknesses and do that as quickly as possible.
Yeah.
And one thing that I saw the other day, it was talking about the differences between men and women when it comes to having kids, and they said, women, they sort of build up to this whole thing. They sort of know it's coming, and they sort of prepare themselves very well, and they're very in tune with that side of them. Whereas men, we just tend to like, oh, yeah, it's all right, we'll just crack on. And then all of a sudden, there's like kids sat in front of us, and you're like, oh shit, like, it's game time now. Like I've got to start switching on. And whereas before I was still in the Marines, and when Mrs. was pregnant, I was like, yeah, you're doing great. And then I'd be like off on 3 months, going to America or Norway or something. I'm like, yeah, you're doing great. I'll see you in 3 months' time. And just sort of putting it to the side and just compartmentalizing it. And then when he was here, I was like, oh shit, I don't want to be away from this. That like,
Yeah.
I've got to start switching my careers. I've got to start retraining, because if I want to go into civilian life, I can't just go with nothing. So I've got to still provide the life that I am currently. So I need to I need to hit the ground running when I sort of enter civilian life. So that's very much it was when he was here, it was like, right, it's game time. Whereas my missus, or ex-missus now, had that whole time in preparation. She knew it was coming. She got herself ready. She already addressed, you know, those
Yeah.
aspects of her. She already knew where she was weak. She'd already thought this far ahead. Whereas as like your typical bloke, I just sort of put it to the side and thought, yeah, I'll just crack on with what I'm doing. So
Yeah.
yeah, that's in answer to your earlier question. That's definitely the biggest question. Fatherhood is, or biggest lesson fatherhood's taught me is my own shortcomings, and just like, you know, get on top of that as quick as humanly possible, because he is looking up to me and learning how to be a man, or, you know, learning how to exist by me as a role model.
Definitely. Is that part of why shit, my mind's gone blank. Optimised man. I was trying. Something else was coming to mind, and I was like, "That's not right." I was going to say like fucking Iron Man or something, but that's because you said the Iron Man challenge or whatever before. Yeah. So is that where the Optimised man kind of came from then? And then, like, would you also tell us like a little bit about the Optimised man page, and you know, just kind of like what it is?
Yeah. So it's yes, that's exactly what it was. It was I had my boy, and then I realised my own shortcomings, and I sort of dove into that, and that's what sparked it to become what it is now. And that's, for me, it is focusing on 5 elements of yourself. So for me, that came to be my physical health, my mental health, my financial health, my social health, and my spiritual health. And if I sort of keep on top of all of them and do an audit of all of them, so, you know, my physical health, I keep myself in pretty good shape, I eat pretty well. So yeah, I'm okay for that in a minute. My mental health, yeah, there's definitely some improvements I could make, but having gone through what I've gone through, I'm quite a resilient person, and I can deal with things changing. I can deal with the chaos of life quite well. Obviously, there's always improvements you can make. Financial health. Now I've got a boy, or now I've got a kid. I need to start, you know, prioritizing my finances, and being able to provide for not just me but for someone else, and, you know, make sure I can provide a decent living. Social became a big one. You know, obviously I had a ready-made group of friends in the Marines, but then now I don't. So now social health is something I've got to start working on and start focusing on, because if I don't have a good social circle, then my mental health is going to start going down the drain. If
Yeah.
my mental health starts going down the drain, I'm just going to start slacking on the gym. I'm going to start eating crap. Yeah, that starts affecting everything. And then also, you know, my spiritual health, which for me would be just any other aspects of myself that I want to address. So for one of them, I've got like I don't know if you've ever heard of it, but like nice guy tendencies. It's like the Dr. Glover talks about it. It's all
Is that
but
Robert
yeah, I mean
Glover?
that's a whole yeah. So
Yeah, I've read the
he talks
book.
about all that sort of
Is it How Not to Be a Nice Guy? Is it called? I can't remember the title.
yeah, something like that. Yeah, something about. So I've got like I'm quite I've got those tendencies where it's like
Yeah,
people pleasing. For people that don't know, it's like yeah, I sort of
yeah,
don't like to upset people, which is weird as a Marine, I suppose. But
yeah.
yeah, so
It's
I've got
weird as
like
a
those
Marine.
who
I need
my
to
job's to
shoot you
shoot
now,
people,
but I
but I don't
don't
like
want
upset.
to.
Yeah, I'm gonna feel really bad about this, but you know, it's my job. But yeah, so that's the sort of spiritual side, and that's what sparked it, because I thought, you know, there's everyone grows up, and in their childhood they pick up, you know, things about themselves they wish they could change, and so those are the things that I looked at myself and thought, you know what, I need to get on top of those, and having dove into it, I boiled it down to those 5 elements, and then with that I could use them to sort of increase my productivity, so I could be better in those aspects, but also, you know, my awareness as well. So that was the driving force for the optimized man, and that's what the optimized man has sort of settled as over time.
Yeah, no, I love that you've created that account and everything like that, and you practice them kind of 5 things. It's quite a good thing to kind of do, like you said, having them all them different kind of things to focus on. And I fully agree what you said when you said like, if I don't focus on a particular thing, then another thing will spiral. And I fully agree with that because like myself and Riot, we've done like tons of therapy over time, and sometimes you get to a point where you're like, oh, I don't really need it anymore. But then it's like something that we both learned is like you always need to kind of like keep on top of your mental health, and like you said, it's good that you broke it into different sections. So it's like for us, we both go to the gym quite a lot, try and eat really well. Like you said, that wellness. Oh no, you didn't say wellness. What was the other one?
Spiritual.
So it's like even just like you said then about like reading books and all that kind of stuff. Because I was going to ask you if you do like when you said that, I thought you was going to say about like yoga or like breathing exercises. Because I'm sure I've read somewhere that in the Marines there is a common breathing exercise. Where is it the one where you do like 4 seconds out, 4 seconds in, and it kind of helps reset? Might not be the Marines, it might be something else. But I'm sure I read that somewhere. It's called
Yeah,
box
so
breathing.
I think box breathing is one of the things, one of the ones we're taught, and it's just to we call it a condor moment, but it'd be the same sort of thing. Like if I put it into context of how we would do it, so it'd be say you walk along a patrol, you come under fire, and then you do your initial reaction to fire, and then you start sending rounds down in the opposite direction. And then the section commander, that's when you got that baseline of fire going away towards the enemy. That buys you a bit of time for the section commander just to have his condor moment. And that's when you'd be taking those breaths and you'd be thinking, right, what's going on? Instead of reacting, on impulse, you're thinking, right, and you start looking at different options. And so yeah, that's the sort of the box breathing. That's where it'd come in. But that's definitely something that I use quite often in civilian life now. Is if something starts getting a bit overwhelming, I'll just even like in my head just go, right, okay, take a step back, take a breath, do in for 4, hold for 4, out for 4, hold for 4, and then just calm down, and it's just not immediately react on impulse. And that's what that's what we would use as our condor moment. But I know the Navy SEALs is quite a big one for the box breathing as well.
Yeah, because I've read, and I could be wrong, that like breathing is the easiest way to your central nervous system. Like when you get into like cold water and your body goes into shock, and then when you under fire, it's adrenaline. It's similar sort of emotions in the body in it.
Yeah, yeah,
And the breathing, the breath work is like you're telling your body like that you're sort of in control. Like there's no reason to go into fight or flight here, even though you're in a fucking war zone pretty much. Like you're telling your body to like calm down and stuff. I think
yeah, yeah,
Ant Middleton talks about it a lot as well. Like before he has to like bust through doors and stuff, that he does that. Is it Cando little
yeah.
things
Condor. We call it a condor moment.
before he then like obviously does his thing. And you know what else about your 5 key pillars or your 5 key elements? They're all things that you can control. There's nothing on your list where you have to rely on another party or hope that something goes into your favor. And I think that's really, really smart, because a lot of people will overthink and try and sort of control outcomes that involve others.
Yeah, but you can't control.
Can't control what other people are going to do, and if they're going to be on time or if they're going to hold up their word or whatever. And if you strip it all back, it's like, what am I in control of? And I really love that aspect that you're sort of pushing that to people, like control only what you can, and then like build on that. I think that's mint.
I mean, I'm a big believer of the controllables versus the uncontrollables, and that's all you can do really. No matter what else is going on in the world, you can only control your own tiny little bubble. And yeah, that was one of the biggest things about it when I was sort of boiling it down. Was it's nothing to do with anyone else. It doesn't matter how anyone else reacts to it. It's how I react to it. Yeah, it could if something's like gone. I don't know, say you get to like a massive argument. If someone else is losing their shit, it's not really in your control. The only thing you can control is yourself, to stay calm
Yeah,
yourself. Um, and if you lose control of yourself, then it just escalates and it just gets out of hand. So that was one of the biggest things I kept trying to sort of bring myself back to when I was looking at those 5 aspects was, can I directly control this? And if so, then great. If I can't, then just get rid of it.
Definitely. I was going to say, I've got one final question because we're almost at the 45 min mark. I've got a feeling that you probably have already answered this, so it'd be good if you could maybe do a different answer. But I was going to say, like, finally, if there's any advice that you could give to someone who's not in the Marines that you've learned, what advice would it be that you've kind of learned from being in the Marines? Because I know before you said it was about like not comparing yourself to other people, but say myself and Ryan, who've never been in the Marines or any space like that, like we're both on computers all day typing, so built different. But what advice would you give to us in terms of like something that you've learned from the Marines, or just anyone else?
Yeah, other than sort of not comparing yourself, I'd probably say
go in the Marines. Figure
I'd probably
out
say
yourselves.
you're just getting out of your comfort zone is probably the best thing you can do. Like if I didn't get out of my comfort zone and join the Marines, I would still be stuck in a shitty little seaside town in Essex. Whereas getting out of my comfort zone just to do a 3 or like a 4-day test to see if I'm physically capable of doing training, that was massive for me. And that little bit then got me out of the comfort zone. Right, okay, well now I'm going to training, and now I'm going to the Arctic Circle. Like it escalates. Your comfort zone just gets bigger and bigger. So just getting yourself out of your comfort zone is probably the best thing you can do. Whether that's I've said to some people before who aren't anywhere, that they've never got themselves out of their comfort zone. They've just stayed in their little bubble.
Yeah.
I just said, what, tomorrow morning when you have your shower, just have 15 seconds of cold. That'll be you getting outside of your comfort zone, and then that comfort zone could then escalate to 30 seconds, a minute. All of a sudden, you're doing a nice bath, and then next, it's incremental. Yeah, incrementally increasing that or getting outside of your comfort zone is probably the best thing you can do. So start where you are. Don't go from doing nothing to I'm going to jump in a frozen lake, or I'm going to do nothing and I'm going to be like think I'm a Royal Marine and go do fucking Ironman competition. Like start where you are and go for a park run, or do the couch to 5K, or have a 15-second cold shower. That's probably the biggest thing that I got from the Marines, other than not comparing yourself, is the rewards of getting outside of your comfort zone.
So it sounds like small, attainable, achievable goals to sort of like set your focus on that. And then you get the positive reinforcement from doing it. Oh, I did it for 15 seconds. Right, I'm going to do 20 tomorrow. And you're constantly giving yourself positive feedback rather than, I'm going to go run a marathon. And then you've
setting yourself up.
You run a mile and go, oh, no, I can't do that. And then inside, you're a failure. You're not worthy. You're never going to amount to anything. If you say, I'm going to walk around the block, and you walk around the block, it's like, oh, I can do anything. And it's all about positive reinforcement, because people tend to do it with like weight loss. They'll be like, I'm going to get fucking 6% body fat, and they're currently sat at 35% by fucking summer, and summer's 2 months away. And then when they only drop fucking 1 kilo, they're like, they throw in the towel.
Get the Ozempics out.
Get the Ozempics out.
So, like, exactly.
Suppress my appetite, bitch.
I'm going to take the easy route. But that's
fucking piss me
and
off.
One of the things,
shit, honestly, sorry, Tate, it triggers me. That
pet
shit.
peeve.
Honestly, whatever happened to hard work, man? Just fucking eat a bit less shit, move a bit fucking more.
Yeah, move more, eat less. It's that simple. But,
sorry, mate.
I'm on you with that one. Yeah. But that was one of the big things. Like when we passed out of training, our corporals, our training team came up to us and said, now you will always have this as proof that you can do anything. Like you've all gone from fucking where you were as civvies to like bootnecks now. You've all proved, you've got physical evidence that you can do tough things, and that is that. I mean, for self confidence, that is like just you can't money can't buy that. And like you said there, you know, you get small wins, you get up and you go around the block, and you go, oh yeah, I did that, I feel good about that. That's a win, you know. So then the next day you go, I'm gonna go like I'm gonna jog around the block. I'm not just gonna walk it. I'm gonna jog it, and then that's another win. And then over time, when you get outside your comfort zone again, and you go, you know what, I'm gonna go for a half marathon. I know I can do it because I've got proof that I can go around the block and I can do a park run and I can do this and I can do that and I can run a 10K and I can, you know, you've got physical proof that you can do it. Whereas, or you know, if I'm losing weight, it's like, you know, I lost a kilo. You know, that's a win. You still lost weight. You know,
Yeah.
so you just build up those wins along the way, and there really isn't any substitute for that for your self confidence.
Very, very, very true. It's one of the hardest things to master, isn't it? Being comfortable within your own skin. But
Yeah,
yeah,
massively.
as this sort of outro take, could you tell like our listeners and stuff how to sort of like find the Optimized Man, like Instagram handle, website, or anything like that, just so they'll know where to find you if they feel like you can assist them in any way.
And as I look forward, I am trying to build more of a robust course around that, so I can actually in person or one to one help people overcome their specific aspects of it, and yeah, like and meet them where they are instead of just a generic online course. Do this, I can meet them where they are and go, right, okay, I tell you what, just go for a walk around the block, or we need to like work on your social health. How can we do that? So I'm sort of building a more intimate online course, I suppose, is probably the right word for that. But as it stands at the minute, just go on my Instagram page, the Optimized Man, and yeah, sign up for the newsletter, and that'll be a bit more in-depth knowledge of those 5 key areas.
No, man. Well, it's been awesome to speak to you today. Honestly, really insightful, really, really good stuff that you've got.
Yeah, mate, it's
And,
been good to chat to you both.
yeah, and I wish you all the best with your little lad and sort of like the split and all that, mate. It's shit, but it gets better with time. You'll probably know that anyway. But no,
Yeah,
wish you
happy with
absolutely
that.
all the best, mate, and stay in touch and yeah, let us know how the Optimized Man's going. We'll I think we'll get this out next week,
Yeah, that's right.
and I think we'll need a nice little picture of yourself so we can do a little graphic and that, and then we'll share it all over the gaff.
Ideal, yeah, sound. Yeah, happy days. Cheers, guys.
Yeah,
There you go.
no worries. Well, I've learned a shitload as well, mate, and like it's always so inspiring to chat to someone who has such good principles like yourself. So yeah, just to reinforce what Ryan said, like thank you for your time, and it's been a pleasure. And yeah, looking forward to I'm going to sign up to the newsletter anyway because I could do with that weekly motivation.
Dead right.
Yeah, go on it. But yeah, cheers for having me on. I've listened to a couple of your podcasts, and the people you have on I mean, they're all inspiring in their own way, and I learn something from everyone. Really, that's the whole point of it. So yes, it's been great.
Yeah. All right. Nice one, mate. Well, you have a mega weekend, and we'll be in touch, and we'll hopefully speak again soon.
Yeah, happy days.
Yeah,
Speak to you later,
all
guys.
the best, Tate. See you later.
Nice one, man. Thank you
Cheers,
very
mate.
much.
See you later.